Peace and power. Once again, this your big brother Psyche. I'm in the game room, and today I'm going to talk about the red flags that you should never ignore when dealing with women. You know, before I start, I'm going to tell y'all this, man. Subscribe to the channel. It makes no sense that I got more viewers than I got subscribers. So subscribe to the channel. Let's make this thing grow, and let's keep on talking that talk. I'm going to let y'all check out my intro first. This is my dude, the dude who did my intro from Austin. Cold rapper, my dude nice, my dude named Bang Boogie. He on the intro. Check out my intro, and then let's get to the conversation.
I ain't even gonna play with him. Bang. He ain't gonna play. Bang. I put the racks on a nigga, got dogs and cats on a nigga, look just like a massacre hitter, look like a Kardashian with him, packing a scrap in the middle. I wanna shoot, he won't grapple a nigga. Nothing alike, we differ. I be finessing and pressing. Who gon' be my next contestant? Boy, you bitch gon' catch a blessing. I'm wanting for questioning, cause I'm big testing it. Strikes on me like I be repping it. Pull up on your residence. Hoodlum take over 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 your. Hoodlum take over your.
All right, let's talk about it. I say the red flags that you should never ignore when dealing with women. And you can flip this. The women, if women are watching this, you can flip this when dealing with men, and I'm gonna explain how as I go. But the red flags that you should never ignore when dealing with people. Let's say it like that. First, if she puts all her business on social media, you got to look at little things like this. You know, I'm a very private man. I don't put my personal affairs on social media. You never seen the vehicle that I drive on social media or the house that I live in social media. I never talk about my trips or places I go or dates or none of that. If you dealing with somebody have to put every plate they eat on social media, every time they get a new car on social media, they go to the hospital on social media, every single thing that they're going through on social media, 9 times out of 10, when you have an issue with them, they're going to put that on social media too. And I went through that. And let me say this. I wanted to give y'all the... I never want to start these videos and try to make it sound like I'm some self-righteous dude that got it all right and got all the game in the world. A lot of times when I come up with these points, it's because I've made these errors. I have made these mistakes. They say that experience is the best teacher. I don't agree with that. Experience is not the best teacher. It'll put the lesson deep in your head, but experience sometimes can take you out the game. Sometimes you can't come back from having to learn from experience. Sometimes you need to be wise enough to learn from the wise advice of those who have the experience. So I don't make these videos because I'm saying that I'm just the guy with all the knowledge. That's not it. I'm the fool. I'm the one that has made a lot of these mistakes, and I've paid for these mistakes. So first, if she needs to put everything on social media, a lot of times when you have an issue with it, she's gonna put y'all business on social media. Once I was dating a woman, and I'm gonna use some of my real life stuff a little bit, just a little bit, not too much. I was dating a woman, man. Every time we have an issue, this woman was putting pages and magazines. Essentially, she was writing magazine articles about our personal life out on social media, and I hated that. I despised that, and I noticed that she was a social media whore. That's the word I'm gonna use. I noticed that a long time ago. It was a red flag. It stood out to me, and I told myself to separate from that, and I didn't. And it turned around and ended up biting me in my behind for not paying attention to the red flag. Then you might mess around, and this ain't every woman that loves the attention of social media. This ain't every one, but you might get unlucky and find one of those ones who uses social media to build cases against you or to destroy your character. They'll start saying things on social media that's not true, that you know is not true. But what you don't understand, what she is doing is she's building a case, so to speak, on you. She's destroying your character methodically. You know, it's a concept in debate. It's called ad hominem. And what it means is, instead of arguing against the concept, you argue against the person. Once you destroy the individual, then anything that they say has no value. So that's the type of technique or tactic that type of person will use against you. So pay attention. Is the person you dating or dealing with, do they have to put all of their business on social media? Second, they are never wrong. They're never able to take responsibility for what's going on. It's always your fault. You are the most demonic, evil person on the planet. They are never wrong. If you even try to bring up that they're wrong, you try to bring up any kind of constructive criticism, it's met with anger, argument, cursing, fussing, crying, all of this. Get the hell away from that, man. Nothing good will come out of that. You cannot You cannot have an adult conversation or a grown folks relationship with a person like that. That person is going to do nothing but beat your head in. Get away from that person. Trust me on this. Third, and this stuff is not in no order. This is just things that I have personally seen as a problem and a flaw and a red flag that I didn't pay attention to, that end up, like I say, coming back on me. But third, they talk to you like you're worthless. See, when I was young, it was me and a partner of mine. We used to get into it with each other. And one time he made me so mad, I went to talking bad about him. Talking about his mother was on drugs. So I talked about his mother being a crackhead, his mother selling her body for dope. I said all of this. And while I was saying this, I was a young teenager. While I was saying all this, one of the OGs in the neighborhood, he jumped up and just boom, he hit me in my chest, dropped me, knocked all the air out of me. At first I thought, man, this dude took his side. But then he explained to me why he did that. And, he was upset. But he told me, man, that is not how you talk to your partner. Our gang come from the same block. There's no way you're supposed to say stuff like that to your own partner. That stuff supposed to be reserved for the dudes on the other side of the track. You never get so angry that you go against your own partner in a way like that. And I learned that lesson, and I kept that. No matter how angry or upset me and my associates and partners get at each other, we never take it there. We don't have that type of dialogue or that type of conversation. And it's one thing that you'll understand when you see this red flag. That person don't really respect you. And it's a manipulation tactic. When you talk down, verbal abuse is real. People seem to think that the only abuse that exists is physical abuse, when a man is beating on a woman. But let me explain this, and I'm not justifying physical abuse, but let me explain this. Verbal abuse is real because it attacks the spirit. There are 3 levels of freedom. There is physical freedom, there is mental freedom, and then there is spiritual freedom. That spiritual freedom is the right to exist, not in a depressed state. And when a person is talking down on you, like you dealing with a man and he's always telling you how fat you are, how ugly you are, how you need to lose weight, or you dealing with a woman and she always telling you that you're not making enough money, that you ain't doing as good as Joe down the street. She's always talking down on you. She's speaking evil into you. She's taking life away from you. And I'm going to do it. The next video I do is going to talk about the polarization of women. It's going to talk about how a woman can be life and how a woman can be death. How a woman has the power in her words to speak life into a man in a situation, or she has the power to speak death into it. And I'm gonna make that a video on its own, how a woman is life and death. But when a woman is speaking to you like that, no matter what else she says after she just calmed down, you need to get away from her, because that woman gonna have you doubting you. She's gonna have you sitting around wondering if you're really as worthless as she say you are. And the same thing, women, if a man is talking to you like that, you don't want to let nobody do you like that. Now, a lot of times what happens is a woman's greatest power is her mouth, her words, and a woman will use that against you. A man's greatest power is his size and his strength, and he will use that against a woman. Both of these is fighting unfair. This unfair fighting. If you're in a relationship with somebody and you love them, you should never use these powers against your own mate. And see, when a man usually uses his power against a woman, his strength and his strength and his size is called what do they call that stuff? Whatever it's called abuse. Abuse. What is it called? Family abuse, whatever it is. Y'all know what I'm saying. But it's called abuse. And he can get a charge and get arrested for it. But when a woman talks crazy to a man, there is no charge. And see, what women fail to realize is that men, when we deal with each other, we don't talk to each other like that. When we do talk to each other like that, it's because we're ready to go there. When we do start slanging, you bitch, you this, you that, when we slang them at another man, we are willing to go there. Because we know that there's a possibility that if I dishonor another man, he will go in my mouth. Since I don't want my mouth went in, I watch how I talk to him. Women don't do that for some reason. Women don't think that they have to watch how they talk to a man. So a woman is always willing and ready to just go off the deep end with her conversation with a man, and that's incorrect. Men, if you see that, you need to get somewhere, because it ain't gonna stop. And some women, now here it is, that outlier, because all women don't have this. Some just get mad and just go off. But there are some women that uses this. They know this. They understand everything I just said, and they use that as a manipulation tactic. They are trying to depress you. They are trying to bring you down. They are trying to suck every bit of life out of you, so you won't have the strength of the will to separate from her or to resist her. They are trying to manipulate and control you. This is a red flag that you cannot ignore. Get the hell away from this. 4, she doesn't respect your opinion. Anytime you try to give your opinion and try to state something, she argues against it. It's the worst thing in the world, and she thinks that she has to argue against everything you say. She does not respect your opinion. Really, she wants to dominate the relationship. She wants to dominate all the conversations. You don't have the right to speak. All you need to do is sit on your hands and do exactly what she says. This is a red flag that you cannot ignore. If she lies to you a lot. Now, this is one of my pet. Boy, I hate this. And this is deep spiritually. I'm gonna show you why this is so deep. When somebody is constantly, and it ain't got to be a woman, a dude, anybody that's constantly lying to you, we're human. We all have failures, and sometimes we will tell a lie. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a liar who lies all the time. When that person lies to you all the time, and you know it's a lie, but you care so much about them that you want to believe it's a lie, you start closing your own third eye. She would dim your third eye. Let me show you how. See, the human being naturally has instincts. Women are the only one that have them. The human being naturally has instincts, and we have what they gut feelings, so to speak. So we know for the most part when things are not right and when things are wrong. We don't realize it, but we know. Our subconscious has been programmed over thousands of years to pick up small little signs and things that are incorrect in the environment, because these things protected us from danger. Our brain didn't wait around for us to figure this out. You got to keep in mind, the human being first lived in the wilderness before we built civilization and cities. And we had to notice little things that was off. Certain scents that may be out to let us know a predator is close. Certain ways the bushes may have moved that let us know that someone was stalking us. Little things like that we had to pay attention to, and we didn't have time to think about it, so we would instinctually respond and react. You still have that. You still have that. Women use it a lot more in this society than men because we rely so much on our logic and our strength. Women, knowing that they don't have the type of strength that men have, rely more on that instinct, and they call it women's intuition. But when a woman or anybody is steady lying to you, it starts making you doubt what you know you see. You start doubting it. And when you start doubting it with her, it doesn't stop there. You start doubting it everywhere else. You start doubting it at work. You start doubting it when you're amongst your friends. You start doubting it when you're amongst your enemies. This woman will effectively close your third eye. I'm going to give you an experience from my own life. You're going to say, man, you're a damn fool. You should never give us no advice about relationships. But this is true. This really happened to me. I was with a woman one time in my past, and I had to key to her place. So one day I got out of work a few hours early. She and I had talked a little bit that day. I didn't tell her I was coming over that night. I wanted to surprise her. So I go to her house. Her car is parked outside. I go in the house. Boom, walk in. No one's there. So I call her. She didn't answer the phone. I'm like, man. So I text her. She texts right back. I text her, say, hey, what you doing? Thinking she's going to tell me where she's at. I text her, say, hey, what you doing? She say, oh, I'm laying in the bed on my computer. I look at her bed because I'm in her bedroom, and I'm like, she is not laying in the bed. I'm looking at I don't tell her though. I'm looking at the bed. So I call her, she don't answer. I call her, she don't answer. I text her again, why you not answering your phone? She tell me that she took some medicine and she nodded off, this, that, there, another. So I texted, no more responses. I got no more responses the rest of that night. I didn't see her or hear from her again until the next day. And the next day I still didn't let her know that I'd been to her house. I didn't let her know. And I stayed there about an hour thinking that she would pull up. She never did. And I finally went on and went home. So I kept it, put everything back to where it was so she didn't know I was there. And I went on and went to the house. So then when I finally seen her the next day and asked her what she did last night, she told me she went to bed, took her medicine, went to bed, and she was tired, and boom, didn't hear her phone no more that night. That's what she told me. Then I told her that was a lie, because I was in your bedroom and I sat there for about an hour, and when you were telling me you was in the bed, I was standing there looking at your bed. You know, she tried to argue me down, telling me she had just went to the store and I missed her and this and that. I showed her the pictures and the timestamps of when I was at her bed. Then she told me, then she changed the lie and told me that she went went out to a bar with a friend of hers to drink, and that she was lying to me because I'd been talking to her about drinking too much. Basically, it was all a lie. But by this time, I'd been dealing with this woman and her lies so much that my third eye had closed, and I started accepting these lies, even though my instincts knew better. Do not sit around and let nobody just sit up and keep lying to you. They'll close your third eye. The last thing in the world that you want a person to do to you is close your third eye. Next, every time she gets mad, she likes to throw up the things that she's done for you. This is not a person that's doing things out of the kindness of their heart. This is the person who's trying to control you. They're giving you things because they're trying to control you. These things have shackles attached to them. They have emotional shackles. And that's why she throws them up. I did this. I did this. Well, give me my stuff back. Give me my stuff. When I give a woman or anybody anything, that's not mine anymore. That's yours. And I'll never bring that back up. And I ain't gonna go into that story. I don't have to tell you every time I was a fool. But if a woman does that, or if a man does that, know that those gifts have shackles attached to them. Those are red flags. Next, close to that is every time she gets mad when you visit her at her place, she wants to throw you out. Again, that's another form of manipulation. It's another form of control, because nobody that loves you will constantly kick you out of their house. My mother used to get on me. My mother raised me to never, ever, ever let a woman throw me out. My mother told me don't even go to people's houses. And one thing about it, I told a lady, I was dealing with a lady that loved to throw you out of her house. And I told her, man, that technique doesn't work for a man who has his own place. That technique works for a dude that doesn't have his own place. And when you throw him out, he got to go sleep on his mama's couch. He going to go sleep on his mama's couch for 3 days. And then he going to be calling you, baby, I miss you. Can I come home? And then you have all the keys in your hand. But for a man who has his own stuff, has his own job, has his own money, has his own place, has his own ride, that doesn't work. That man will walk away from you. Now, me being a fool, I took too long to walk away, but my mother got on me about that. She told me, I taught you never to let nobody throw you out of their house. But don't let a woman constantly want to throw you out of her house. That's a red flag. She's trying to manipulate and control you. 8, she cries easily. Game. It's game. Nobody is that sensitive. And what she's doing is she's playing on your natural need as a man to save the damsel in distress. We kind of get weak when women go to whining and bawling. There's certain dudes that stiff. But for the most part, when a woman goes to cry, we want to fix it. And this type of woman knows that. So she uses that to her advantage. She uses that as her game. She cries so easily about every little small thing. She's trying to control you. Trust me, she's trying to control you. Do not fall for that red flag. You see these flags, you need to hit the door. Flag on the plate. 9, she has a lot of kids and a lot of baby daddies. Flag on the plate. This means a couple of things. 1, she's extremely promiscuous. 2, she makes bad decisions. If she got 5 kids and 5 baby daddies, she makes bad decisions. That means that she done made a decision to give a man the most important thing that she has, and that's access to a womb in order for him to create his bloodline. Repeatedly. She ain't made the mistake once. She have made it 5 times and over. You do not want to ignore a red flag like that. And in today's society, and I'm not trying to attack the women, because in today's society, we have moved from husband, wife, family, legacy, and bloodline to baby mama, baby daddy, whole bunch of kids. We moved to that. And I personally, in my personal opinion, I think that's a flaw. I don't think the human was designed for that quote unquote family structure, because there's nothing familiar about that. That's not a family. That's not a real family structure. And it takes families to build communities. So watch out for that red flag. And one thing you got to think about, and the reason I say she's promiscuous, if she got all these baby daddies and all these kids, nobody has kids with everybody they've had sex with. And if she's had this many kids by this many different men, think about the abortions, think about the miscarriages. And you know what I'm saying? It's too much to think about. When these are signs, do not ignore these signs. And 10, number 10, you have never met any of her family or any of her friends. And you're supposed to be in a serious relationship with her. Man, if you're in a serious relationship with a woman and you ain't met none of her family, none of her friends, none of her kids, something's not right. Something's not right, and you cannot allow yourself to ignore that. Something's not right. When I meet a woman and I like a woman, I don't care if I've known a woman a week. If I meet a woman and like her, I'm gonna tell you one of the first things I do. I take her around my mama. You know why? Because before I get any feelings about her, before I let her get too close to me, I let my mother scan her. My mother usually sees it. Even when she don't know what she's looking at, my mother usually sees it. My mother will, and most women will. See, most older women, again, they don't even know what it is. It's that intuition. Most older women will sit down, have a conversation with a woman, see certain things about her, and be like, boom. My mother told me about a woman, the worst woman I've ever dealt with in my life. My mother told me before she even realized what was going on, she said something about her. I don't know what it is, but I got my eye on her. You need to watch her. It's something about her. And boy, it was something about her. I take them around my mother. You got to pay attention. So if you with a woman and you ain't met none of, you with a year, 2 years, you ain't met nobody, something's not right. Do not ignore these red flags. Flags on the plate. Catch out running. Now I'm going to add a little bonus to that. I said this is going to be the 10 red flags you need to watch out for when you're dealing with a woman. But I'm going to add you a little bonus. I'm going to show you the relationship credit check. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it the relationship background check. These are the things you want to look for when you're dealing with a woman and you're talking to her. First, and again, in today's society, we're going to find a lot of women that don't have this. But do she have a father in her life? The reason why this is important, the reason why this is so important about her having a father in her life is this right here. A lot of times when you're dealing with a woman that don't have a father in her life, she does not have a proper example of manhood. And by not having a proper example of manhood to guide her and direct her in her life, a lot of times she don't know how to deal with a man, and she has father issues, which means she has man issues. And a lot of times that she project those issues on the man that she's dating. It's very important. If you're 9 times out of 10, if you deal with a woman who had a father in her life that wasn't a creep, that had a father in her life that had, especially if he was conscious, that had a father in her life that could teach her and guide her, you'll probably get a better quality of female when you have a woman that literally had a real man, a father in her life. Second, what kind of woman is her mother? Boy, you got to look at this. This is very important. What kind of woman is her mother? Because 9 times out of 10, she learned how to be a woman from watching her mother, and she imitated her mother. Most children, boys and girls, most boys watch their father to learn the cues for manhood, and most girls watch their mother to learn the cues for womanhood. And if her mother ain't shit, 9 times out of 10, she's probably not shit either. Just look at these things. These are very important things to pay attention to. Third, what is her educational level? Now, I'm not saying this being mean, trying to say that a woman without a high education level is not a high quality woman. But there are signs here. One, a woman with a higher education level. Like, let's say, for instance, she went to college. Let's say she got an associate's degree. One thing we know about a person that maybe has an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, one thing we know is that person can dedicate themselves to a task for 2 years and complete it, because that's what it takes to get an associate's degree. If she got a bachelor's, then for 4 years, and on. So we know that this person has the discipline to dedicate themselves to a task and completing that task. When a person lacks these things, these are signs that you're dealing with someone who can't stay dedicated to a task for a long amount of time. Another thing about a person with a higher education, according to statistics, people with higher educations stay married longer, and I guess it has something to do with that dedication to completing the task and the intelligence needed to properly communicate with another human being. You need to be able to communicate and talk with another human being. A lot of times, uneducated people don't know how to properly communicate with each other. They communicate with anger and high emotion and can't communicate with logic and intelligence. And 4, does she have a driver's license? What? What you want her to have a driver's license for? You want her to drive you around, brother Psyche? No, that ain't it either. Because again, about being able to, something as simple as a driver's license, this is something that don't take, not a month to accomplish. To study for the driver's license, to do your driving training and go get a driver's license, to make sure that you keep yourself from getting tickets, running into people's property, damaging people's car. This is nothing. It's easy to get a driver's license. And a person that can't take the time to take care of that little thing like that, it tells you something about them. They don't have the dedication. They don't have the discipline. They don't even have the respect for other people on the road. You got to look at little things like this. These things tell us things about people. And 6, how many times has she been married? Now you ask yourself, how many times a woman been married? If a woman has been, I might really, and I'm trying to make my decision up if I even want to deal with a woman that's even been married before. But I might deal with a woman that's been married once. I'm not dealing with a woman that's been married twice. I'm not dealing with a married woman, and I'm not dealing with a woman that's married and separated. Because I've done this, and it doesn't work. It's something wrong there with a woman that's married but separated from her husband. I was dating a woman, she was separated. They was really separated. And according to her, they had been separated 4 years, but every time me and her had a problem, she ran to him. She ran to talk to him. She ran to call him. Every time she needed something, she called him. That was her real soulmate. That was the person that she had ties with. I'm not ever in my life dealing with a woman, if she's married, if she's separated. I ain't trying to hear it. I don't have no understanding for it. It's another thing about dealing with married women. I don't deal with married women. And I've been tricked to dealing with a married woman before in my life, but I don't deal with married women. Because you think about this. A man that is married to a woman 10 years, he moves a woman into a house, has kids with a woman, man, that dude will probably kill you. Find out that you putting this much pipe in his woman. No, do not deal with married women. And last, what did I say? There was 5. What did I say there was just then? There should have been 5. I said 6, but I meant 5. I skipped 5. And I said this already in the red flags. How many kids do she have, and how many baby daddies do she have? All of these things are things that you need to do before you start thinking about being serious with a woman in the relationship check. Now, are there outliers? Are there examples to the rule? Yes, there always are. But don't let the example to the rule make you say that things can be all right. Don't make you say that. Because if I tell you right now that people have 2 legs, and you say, I know somebody that only got 1 leg, that's an example to the rule. And there are people on the planet with 1 leg, but that don't mean that that's the rule. For the most part, on the average, human beings have 2 legs, they have 2 arms, they have 1 head, they have 2 eyes. This is what we can basically bet on. I'll be more than willing to bet my money that we'll see more human beings if we walk through a mall with 2 legs than those with 1. I'll be willing to bet money on that, and I'm pretty sure that I will win every single time. And that's how you got to take these points I just broke down. I'm not saying that these points are perfect, and let me lean into my mic. But I'm not saying that these points are perfect and that they're always going to be right and exact. But there are grading points that you can base your decisions off of when dealing with a woman. Very important. The woman that you choose to put in your life can help you or it can completely destroy you. And trust me, man, trust me, boy, I've made some bad decisions. Peace. Hopefully y'all got something out of this. Hopefully you learned something. If you did, put something in the comments. Give me your experiences in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video with other people. Peace and power. This is your big brother Psyche.